Question 388. When is the use of military force justified?
Oh, fucking hell.
Well,
when the outcome of it not being used is going to be worse than the effects of actually using it.
For who?
Everyone.
The obvious answer is in self-defense, but then it gets into the question of what exactly is defense.
Who is deserving of defense in that respect? Is self-defense? If you've got a couple of thousand of your people on holiday in the north of France, and France decides that it's going to start randomly arresting them, are you justified in invading France to rescue your people? And then keep France?
If there's no other way to do it.
What's the point? Yes. What's the point of having an independent military, nuclear deterrent if you can't use it on the French?
Well, they shouldn't have fucking gone to France anyway. They're shooting shit there, and they're all grumpy.
Oh, we really need a French guest on the show at some point.
Just saying, guys, I'm half French.
Are you? Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yes, I am.
That's the old...
And is this too simplistic to say this? That what was the question?
When is the use of military force justified?
Okay, if, in your example, Dave, if a country decides to start arresting those citizens, I believe if the country those citizens from own law is being violated in some way, that country does have the right to then go and defend its people from its own standpoint. And I think that's the best you can ever get.
Yeah, it comes down to the point of when does the actions of the first country that's arresting the people become interpreted as an act of war?
Yes.
I mean, ideally, the first country wouldn't
if it violates your own laws, that's as good as you're ever going to get, really.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, if it's a form of oppression applied from one country to another, then they're technically, even if it's the police part of the state, they're technically using a military force on another country to start off with. So at what point does that actually become no longer a civilian issue, but a military issue, and is technically an act of war?
Yes. But we still want to trade, and we're intertwined. Surely. I mean, the question...
There'd be a whole heap of diplomacy that would go on before war, you would hope.
Right, quickly in the chat. Robert says, to kick Trump out of the White House. Tony says, lol, non-controversial. Natty says, against paedophiles. Doc says, after I fart. Mathpig says, when I use it to destroy Sammy and Nerdy for making fan fiction. I think these uses of force might be a bit personal.
Yeah.
Who is deserving of defence? The children? Certainly, not the cows now. Tony says, one doesn't require a justification for invading France. So if we're invading France, it's always justified. Good to know.
Yes, and from a part Frenchman, I will endorse that statement.
Can you surrender on their behalf?
Possibly. I believe if I ever go back there, I'll be forced to do
join the Foreign Legion?
What does it mean? Yes.
Only Tom.
I made the joke earlier, but I'm gonna push. I made the joke. I know I made the joke about France earlier, but I'm going to push back on what Tony said. You don't know a lot about the French. You think they're pushovers and just want to surrender all the time.
No. Historically, it doesn't. But I like the meme.
Not like that.
I like the meme. It's fun.
Yeah.
Tom says what?
And it's a fun meme about how the French actually are, is why the Brits don't get on with them.
Yeah, I mean the French have won more wars and battles than they've lost. Historically.
And they're really snooty about it as well.
We saved them, damn it! Twice! See, Tom says, when diplomacy has failed and lives are being lost. See, my problem with that is lives being lost. I don't think is the right line.
But this, yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying that's not a valid line. If lives are being lost, I think you're already gone way beyond the point, probably. At the end of the day, your country is its people and its assets. If no lives are lost, but they start blowing up your embassies, is that grounds for military intervention?
depends on
Yes.
depends on if it's a nation. Depends on if it's a nation state doing it, or
Yes.
you know. So you could get into an awful lot of politics like there. I'm not. I wouldn't necessarily endorse invading a foreign nation without just to get rid of like a
small one-page dossier. Will that do it?
You know,
Can I convince you with a small one-page dossier from a cab driver in some country?
From a cab driver.
I think he was a cab driver.
You mean the one about all this all those massive weapons of mass destruction?
You see, if they're threatening us, with something, is that grounds? If they've got
Can
a valid
I say,
threat,
Godless, is it racist to say that was a very British answer, Jeff?
Yeah. So.
What was right? I missed the bit that was a very British answer. What is it?
Because to me, again, it's not only have they started bombing your shit, so yes, you should just defend yourself straight up. But again, it comes down to they've broken what your country's laws and ideals are.
But why should they have to obey your country's laws and ideals? I mean, we don't. Most of the Islamic world right now is killing off homosexuals. We're not. Well, firstly, we're not doing something about it. We probably should be. And secondly,
and again, that's against our ideals. And
yes, but my point is, does that mean that they've got a right to us for not persecuting ours? We're breaking their laws by allowing them to carry on their despicable behaviour.
Defense.
Yeah.
We're only talking about defense, not offense. And so they have every right to defend themselves if we...
yes, but they consider it an attack.
Standpoint,
they have repeatedly demonstrated that they consider it an attack when we teach their children that homosexual people exist and are allowed to exist. That they are taking that as an attack.
Yeah, that steps into another issue of immigration and moving into a country with different
No, I agree with you.
and-
But my issue is that you've got to define the point at which your laws should apply to other people as to whether or not you're willing to say that if someone is disobeying your laws against your citizens in someone else's country, that you think your behaviour towards them would then be justified.
No, see now, I think if your citizens have gone into another country and broken their laws, regardless of what their laws are, that was their choice to do that. So they've sort of forfeited that right to be defended.
What if the laws
and I
in that
don't think they
country are
should be.
unjust, though?
Then don't go to that country.
See, that's one thing.
I would agree with that sentiment, but what if you had to? What if you were going for humanitarian reasons?
Well, then that's a whole different story.
Take a
and
big
yes,
army
it
with
should be
you.
defended.
Wars are never fought for humanitarian reasons.
Plenty of wars.
It's a valid point, though. I mean, if you mightn't realise some of the risks, but still go there for humanitarian reasons, and all of a
That's a
sudden
different story.
By this
Yep.
regime, shouldn't you be defended?
If there was
I think you should be if you didn't knowingly go into that situation.
You know, I've got some oil in my kitchen. I'm trying to keep that on the down low just in case America shows up.
yeah.
Are you offering to lather me up? Are you, Badger?
Maybe.
That maybe is the most erotic I've ever heard Badger sound. Right, I need to catch up on the chat because we are miles behind again. Oh crap! crap it up. We're
Hang on, Amanda was about to answer.
Go on, Amanda.
Oh, it's fine. Dave does this to me all the fucking time. It's fine.
It's all your fault, Dave.
See, I prefer to get through the chat answers, then I can have the intelligent answer.
I can't stand my answers, that's why.
I want the intelligent answer at the end.
Oh, nice save.
I know, I'm good, aren't I? It's somewhat easier to trade with a country once you've defeated them in war. When diplomacy has failed and lives are being lost, that's where I was up to. Natty, I think any time an innocent group of people are under threat, you have a right to defend yourself with military force. Does that include if they're not your citizens? In which case, we should be involved in a lot more wars. I mean, do you know what? This is what really annoyed me about the Iraq War, more than anything else. The people that said we were going in there for humanitarian reasons. Nope. And that's a valid reason. That was a valid reason to go in. Humanitarian, good. I'm fine with that reason. But that's not valid if you're then ignoring all the other fucking places in the Middle East and around the world that have got things that are worse that you're completely ignoring.
Yeah.
Well, if they want to do something for humanitarian reasons, and I suggest they sort Israel out and get them to stop doing what they're doing to the Palestinians.
But, yes, completely agree.
But there's humanitarian issues going on all over the world in places with no oil.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is my point. My issue, I have a problem with using humanitarian... I'm all for... I'm sorry about this. Right? I am all for intervening on humanitarian grounds. But it's got to be consistent.
Sorry about that.
But it's...
Because a lot of people aren't for force on that basis.
It's always about money in the end. It's not about...
is humans need oil.
I hear it's very profitable. Well, it was.
Oh, I'm muting. I'm not part of this.
I'm not all for intervening on humanitarian grounds often because the British Empire has kind of a, there's a bit of a bad history there of intervening on moral grounds in other.
No. Don't misunderstand me. I think the specifics. My issue is I have a problem with the inconsistency. I think the specifics about intervention should be very strictly defined.
Oh look, these people aren't Christians. We should invade them.
Exactly. This is my problem, and this is one of those things where I may well have a different opinion from an ideological point of view than I do from a practical point of view, because whether or not you can ever accurately, in a non-exploitable way, have intervention, in most cases, is iffy.
Well, technically, wasn't that the purpose of the UN? And the UN is a wet sock.
Yes, but the UN had to be a wet sock to be inclusive.
Sock, it could very well be the cause of a lot of tyranny.
Yes. There's a topic for the list.
I don't want to be forced to wear wet socks.
So, are we going to
Badger, list, intervention.
Yeah, all right.
Can we have one about the UN then? If we put something on the topic list?
Sorry, go on, Jeff.
So before you move on, did Manda get a chance to answer or not?
Oh.
We haven't finished yet. I haven't made it through the chat yet.
Well, hurry up, Dave.
Natty, you have the right to form your own militia. Here, because America. Why does the chat keep jumping on me? I keep losing track of where I am.
If McDonald's funds it, does it become the Mac militia?
Do you know who has the second biggest navy in the world?
McDonald's? I don't know.
No. Have a guess.
Greenland.
No.
It'll be a landlocked country.
New Zealand.
No. It's not a country.
It's not a country.
The oil.
It'll be a corporation then.
Yes.
Coca-Cola.
No. And it might not be true now. It was true 15 years ago.
No.
Is that a navy? But are we talking about a navy here? An actual navy?
A navy is defined by number of ships.
Navy, by number
navy
of ships.
is defined by number of
one
ships.
Of the shipping companies, but
nope, not one of the shipping companies.
No, it wouldn't be a shipping company at all.
Well, a cruise ship company.
Spooky's got it.
Yeah.
Is it? Disney.
It's not. I wouldn't necessarily call. I don't know what I'd call
I
that.
fucking knew that.
Did you?
I don't think I'd call that a navy.
I did, yeah.
How many ships
Actually
does Disney
did.
own?
Disney
You
owns
fucking
owns
what?
cruise ships.
No, not just cruise ships. They've got a massive fleet for filming, and they used to have a lot more, I think, as well.
Wow.
Right.
So they just got loads of ships. Excuse me.
Disney can go fuck itself.
Yes.
And I heard them
So they
Star
can now
Wars
defend
movies.
their new Star Wars canon, Badger, so you'll have to be very careful what you say about it.
I'll say what I
well,
fucking like, because
when we have lots of
they
spaceships,
may have a big fucking navy, but
But they might invade your burrow.
Badger's
how the
set
fuck
is
are they
nowhere
going to
near
invade
the
a land fucking thing with a navy?
they'll use their
Don't know.
stormtroopers.
They could, well, they might have.
Right.
they might have-
Right. Shut up, everyone. Manda. Finally, give us an intelligent answer.
No, because now it sucks. Just like if we're being invaded or our allies are being invaded and humanitarian reasons, I don't fucking know. But
See, I like that. Not one person mentioned your allies.
we have to
Say again?
stop trying to change other countries' like political systems and shit. That never works out well for anybody, and it's stupid. So
Yes, that's very true.
But
I
I'd
like
be
that you-
interested to see it done just once that wasn't for an ulterior motive.
It'll never
It's
happen.
always an ulterior motive.
I know it
I mean,
will never, but I would love to see it.
even the
Just to
first
see
and
No.
second
what
World Wars
the
had
result
ulterior
of
motives.
that would be.
I don't know. Well, that's not really intervention, is it?
What,
Could
the
it
First and
work
Second World
if a
Wars had
country
No.
was truly there for humanitarian reasons?
Okay, England getting involved in the Second World War was a response to what had already happened. That's interventionism.
See, I'm here for humanitarian reasons.
You're being humanitarian towards Dave.
See,
Towards humans.
Yeah.
see, Badger would
So
agree with me.
vegetarianism.
I think Badger would probably agree with me that so if it's done for humanitarian or reasons that there should have been an intervention against Britain for the badger coal. Would you agree with that,
Yep.
Bad?
Yeah, let's go with that. Why not?
Rescue all the badgers.
Yeah.
Right.
But aren't there too many badgers? Isn't that the problem?
No, there aren't too many badgers. The problem is that
The badgers are all
tuberculosis-
infecting people.
Shut up a sec. The problem
No.
is that bovine tuberculosis is transmissible between cows and badgers.
Then stop giving them TB.
Why?
They're giving us
Stop
TB.
kissing them.
Stop shagging them.
Yeah, stop shagging fucking cows.
It's not a fucking sexually transmitted tuberculosis.
That's what the badger in the room says.
But as we discussed earlier, though, less cows could be good for the environment. So I think the badgers are doing us a favour.
So we need more badger cow sex, is what you're saying.
If you're claiming that I have a conflict of interest on the badger cull due to being a badger, then you can't say shit about any war involving humans.
Don't know what you mean. If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.